Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, men and women. Welcome to Attorney Commander J. Galpohkpa Chesson Talk Show. Today is the 24th day in the second month of the new year, 2021. Happy Black History Month. And let us get into my lesson. My topics for today are America's leaders, lies, unconstitutional behaviors are a threat to Liberia's constitutional democracy. Number 2, Liberia's political party leaders, Johnson-Sirleaf, etc. 3, Back to Liberia movement. Let's start my first lesson. First of all, before I begin my lesson this morning, I want to take a few minutes to tell you all about Tiger Woods' accident yesterday and how badly he's injured. And is currently in the hospital. I think yesterday he underwent operation on his legs. His car was badly damaged. There was a rollover. Luckily, he had his seatbelt on because he hit a tree and he hit something else before he began to roll over. So they are still investigating the cause of the accident, which may be speed related or distraction or people crossing the road, that section of the road, and not paying attention to driving while driving. Okay, all these kind of things add to it. So we just want to take this opportunity to wish Tiger Woods a speedy recovery and the blessings to be able to play his sport again like a professional. Now let's get into my lesson. America's leaders' lies, unconstitutional behaviors are a threat to Liberia's constitutional democracy. It is a threat. Why? Because Liberia, like America, a nation founded of many nations, is a nation of Americans in Liberia, Africa, who took the same practice and system of constitutional democracy to Liberia and Christianity to Liberia and thus throughout West Africa and wherever else. God's blessing enable us to spread His word. So these are special things to us. You see, and as Christians, sitting down and watching former President Donald Trump lie 30,000 times in 4 years, sitting down currently and watching Republicans, current leaders and senators lie like their baby children over everything. Their lives were in danger on January 6th when that crowd went in there to kill them. These were the same representatives and senators hiding under the desk, hiding under the chairs, scared, and now have forgotten what the great leader Donald Trump did to them. How he wanted his own people to hurt his vice president. That today they still have no communication or interactions, and if they are, far and few in between. So this is where we are today. How will all the lies, how will all the unconstitutional behaviors of America's leaders impact my country's democracy? Because everything America does, Liberians do. And that is a problem. Because despite the fact that we have a similar constitution, Liberia's constitution is not extensive. Our nation is not so complex, nor is it federal as the United States of America. So the precedents that is set for American jurisprudence can only be fitted in Liberian jurisprudence so far and no longer or no more. So there's a differentiation between our two democracies, even though on the basis of Article 1, freedom of speech, and all these kind of things, Article 5, against self-incrimination, and a few other articles, but especially Article 1 and Article 5. Those are the individual rights that our Constitution gave us. Our Constitution gave us freedom of speech, freedom of movement, freedom of association, freedom of religious beliefs. Those are the fundamental individual rights that differentiates the power of the government from the rights of the people. Because our Constitution was made to serve the sovereign. Our nation is a sovereign. We are a nation unto ourselves, a nation whose constitution gives us the life that we're supposed to have as citizens of Liberia, because our Constitution breathes life into our society. And because it does that, our leaders are expected to maintain the moral, the sanctified, honest leadership of our leaders, of our country, of our people, of our children especially. Because our country was founded on Christian principles. It was founded on Christian principles. So everything that in our society has a public policy implication. So in our public, we abhor or hate government officials lying to the general public. We don't condone that. So if our Constitution, like American Constitution, do not discriminate, do not impugn upon the rights and privileges of the masses of the people, the government has limitations because of that. Because as a sovereign, the government can do anything it wants to do. And to demonstrate that, that's why we have the axiom of eminent domain under the law, where the government can take anything But the only requirement is that there be fair and equitable compensation. So whether you refuse or not, whether you dislike it or not, whatever you want to do, if the government say they're going to take your property under the principle of eminent domain, you have no say in it. But two, you still have a constitutional right in your property. You still have a constitutional right in your property because whatever reason your property has been taken from the government, there are provisions made in our laws that enable you to have the opportunity to regain your property. So these are the basic fundamentals of our laws, of our people, of our public policy that are not written. Public policy laws are not in our Constitution. But our Constitution is developed from our public opinions, how we feel, what our personal objectives or interests or religious interests, what our personal interests. All of those serve to build up the public policy of the Republic of Liberia. And it's not only Christians. Judaism have many of the same laws, the Ten Commandments. Islam has the Ten Commandments. Christianity has the Ten Commandments. So this is not a religious principle of our nation that is so far and far between any other religions in Liberia. Even our traditional animist religious beliefs hang on our Christian belief too. Because many people who go to juju practitioners and soothsayers and all of that, and they tell them if God agree, in their minds, it's Christian God, it's Jesus Christ. Same thing with other cultures, Mexicans who practice Santeria. You have it in every third world nation. They had their own culture and their own lives before the coming of the white man and the bringing of Christianity, or the coming of Liberians back to Africa and bringing Christianity. These are the challenges we face. And as long as we are part of America and see American leaders behave so immoral, behave so disgusting, behave so unchristian, it's a threat to Liberian society, especially in our constitutional democracy. Everything American people do, we follow it. We use it for example. Look at on the Spoon TV and everything. The same people committing crimes, supporting other people for crimes. You know, these are the same practices going on in Liberia and America today. So it confuses me. And every day I pray for God to show me what's happening around here. And even though he has, I can't divulge it here to you because it's not the time for you to understand these things. But this is where we stand. Our constitutional democracy for a new society of immature people and children as Liberia. The behavior of American leaders are not setting good examples for my people to emulate. They're not setting good principles of leadership for my people to admire and adore. My people are short-sighted. All our people come here to talk. Well, they're scared too. They're scared of all kinds of problems. So they cannot address issues as I address it. And that's why it's hard for me to bring people on my show right now because my show is strictly educational. And I see all the dysfunctional things going in my society, and my leaders and advocates and all these people have no precedence of law. Why? Primarily because we have not punished our leaders. Primarily because everything in Liberian society is for peace sake. Primarily because we are tribalists. So every tribal group is distrusting of the other tribes. So we don't trust each other really. If we trusted each other, nobody would be fighting for their own ministry or their own department because of tribe and everything. What kind of country will work like that? What kind of country will work like that? Look at American democracy. Look at how many white people are leading in the leadership hierarchy of this country. They're qualified. They're the choice of the president. They are not nepotistically chosen. They are chosen based on principles of law, or supposed to be chosen. But here we are today. That whole system is almost destroyed. There's no cooperation in the Congress, especially because of Donald Trump. Donald Trump controls the Republicans in the Senate who keep talking about punishing him instead of them doing it when they had the opportunity to punish him. They freed him. They freed him. They freed him from prosecution as an impeached president. They let him off. Now the man is thinking about running again in 2022. Or 20, whatever it is, 20, whatever it is. So these are the challenges we face too. These are the challenges we are facing too. So, my young children, I just want to let you know, we have a problem in our country. We have a problem in Liberia, especially. We got social rogues in my country. We know my country leadership is ineffective. We know my country leadership is incompetent. We know my country leadership is ignorant. But we hold American leadership to standards unmatched with any nation in the world. And yet, as Black Christians and followers of Jesus Christ, we sit here and watch the people who claim to be Christians, who want to ban Muslims from coming to this country, who want to subject every other religion to the Christian religion, are the biggest liars, unchristian, and deceitful people of the world. These people are shameless. And my young children, it hurts me. Because all around the world, we're fighting and striving to spread constitutional democracy and Christianity. Everywhere in the world, we are fighting. We are fighting and striving. When I say fighting, I don't mean physical fighting, spiritually fighting. Spiritually fighting. To debunk the lies, to debunk the deceitful condemnation, to debunk the humanistic thinking, ideal, and view of spiritual living. So Jesus Christ, you got to really believe him. You got to really believe in his divine powers, and especially that his birth is immaculate. And if you cannot accept that, if you let other people dissuade you from that spiritual conviction, not only based upon what we hear in church, but based upon educated people reading the Bible and understanding the teachings of the Bible and the rules and teachings of Jesus Christ, his birth, his challenges, his miracles, and above all, his death, resurrection, and ascension into heaven as God. Because that's where we get the 3 in 1. God, Father, Son, and Ghost. And it's in our best interest to understand and fully appreciate our Christian faith and belief. People commit sins, yes. But when your sins impact the lives, the dignity, the future of people and children, it's a problem. It's a serious problem. So my young children, I will end my lesson here on my first topic and move to my second topic right now because this is an important topic. Okay? So let me take a short break, sip on my coffee, and I'll be back in less than 2 minutes.
Sounds right.
We're back. Liberia's political party leaders, Ellen Johnson-Sirleaf, etc. I got a long list of things to discuss here on the Liberian. So let me begin right away. First, I want to talk about Senator Darius Dillon. Senator Darius Dillon right now is one of the most popular senators in Monserrate County and throughout Liberia. His voice emanates through every corner and crack of the Liberian society. Because for too long we have been betrayed. For too long we have talked about incompetence, ineptness, inabilities of our leaders to understand, appreciate, and implement effectively the laws of Liberia. So yes, this young man in the Senate speaking where people like Vani Sharma and all these real prominent lawyers supposed to be speaking up for the pride and dignity of Liberia. Instead of that, they're the very people bribing judges, bribing representatives and senators to let foreigners have access to Liberia and Liberian people. These are threats against our national security. These are threats that continue to keep us underdeveloped. These are threats that ensure our country never rise to the heights of our human intellect and physical abilities. We'll not rise there. We ain't going nowhere because the leaders we have to evaluate them. We have to know where they stand in terms of brave popularity, the confidence of the people being reposed in them implicitly. People like us, of legal minds, of experiences, of leadership, have to step in and bring some consciousness to the Liberian people. And right now, because of Darius Dillon's popularity, I think it has gone to his head. The ideal of power has gone to Darius Dillon's head. And now, we can't trust Darius Dillon no more. I can't trust him because all the way Darius Dillon talks, which is good. But when you immature and start putting your power on your head, and start thinking that you are the only voice for the Liberian people, that's a problem. That's a problem. And now Darius Dillon is not only having problems with his political party, he having a problem with the CPP. Because wherever his actions depict relates to the true mentality of Darius Dillon. So here we see we have promoted this young, immature man with poor judgment to the senatorial position that he rightly supposed to inherit as a Liberian. But now the trust we repose in him, the confidence we repose in him to do away with corruption, to set standards of leadership, discipline, and rule of law are dissipating before our very eyes. Because Darius Dillon right now is facing many, many controversial fronts. And most of all is his selection of Musa Ability as chair of Liberty Party. This is asinine. A man suspended from a world organization as FIFA for 9 years or 10 years, where he did one already, for 9 more years because of corruption, because of stealing, because of pure criminal actions. This is the man that Darius Dillon sat down and supported to be chair of the party. And now it's come to the realization of the Liberian public that Darius Dillon them are bought off by Musa Ability. He gives every one of them jeeps and cars and help them with their campaigns and fund everything they do. And this is the man Darius Dillon feel obligated to, beyond the interests and desires of the Liberian people, to end corruption. This is the man Darius Dillon had no judgment to understand that, yes, you can support me, but to lead the party, I can't support you for that. You are a voice in the party. Why you got to attain the chairmanship? Because of your money. Because of the money you stole and all the things. You are a voice in the country, in the party. You have supported Darius Dillon and Nomli Kanga to the leadership of Liberia and leadership of your party. So now, you people are in charge. Musa Ability owns the Liberty Party, just like Donald Trump owns the Republican Party. That's why Darius Dillon could not say a word, because we may not know, but to Darius Dillon, the party has no money. And if Ability is not pleased, the party will die. Why? Because Charles Bromsky is dead. Charles Bromsky's family have no intellectuals to replace their father. And that's where the party fails. Because Darius Dillon is still immature. He talked about so much about what he learned from Charles Bromsky. And we see right now, members in the hierarchy of the Liberty Party are withdrawing from Liberty Party because of Darius Dillon's arrogance, because of his poor judgment, and because of his greed for power. Now we heard that recent convention they just had, Darius Dillon came out of there with 3 positions in the party. He alone with 3 positions. He's a legal something for the party, and he's something else. He's the head of the legal committee of the party and something else. So Darius Dillon makes decision for the party alone, because everybody trusts this one kid. But one man cannot do every job when they are enlightening young people under you. That their youth leader who leaving Liberty Party yesterday or today, he resigned. And he's one of the co-chair of the auxiliary youth thing or somewhere ever he is. He's established that himself. And it's a big component of the Liberty Party in promoting their interests and objectives. But yeah, this kid, I can't remember his name, but he's one of the staffer in Darren Dillon's office. He just resigned because the deputy in that office there, or the manager or his boss, is Darren Dillon man. They're all subjected to Darius Dillon. So anything you do to Darius Dillon, they're coming back to you. And this same leader was opposed by the young the young Liberty Party executive who retired. Why? Because he didn't vote for him. Because his thinking is independent and based on the teachings of Charles Bromsky. And that's why he's saying that Darius Dillon are not following the kind of rules, the kind of leadership structure that Charles Bronson set down. One, he will not tolerate anybody that appears in the public or is brought to public knowledge of their actions and behaviors that are unconstitutional, not in conformity with public opinion and law. He never agreed for the people to take positions. And if they did have a position, they had to resign. So, Bromsky made some mistakes too. But he laid a leadership structure for the young people in the party through example, through leadership examples that got them today discouraged with Dillon's leadership, discouraged with Nyombi Kanga's leadership, discouraged now with the CPP. And there's talk floating around now that as of April this year, CCP will fail to exist. Because right now there is infighting. Right now, many of the people are still deceitful and lying people. Right now, Liberians are looking at the leadership structure of the CPP. And right now, Liberty Party is ruling CPP as the head political party for their term. Every party had a term to lead. Now they her term. And she come into the CPP with Musa Ability, a criminal, as the chairman of our party. So right there, the whole CPP is diluted with criminals, and it's not a real collaborative party that is relevant for Liberia and Liberian people today. We have grave problems. We have serious problems in our country. And how are we going to attend to them? So all our political leaders under CPP umbrella are a problem for the Liberian society. Because of the leadership of LP, all of the CPP are suspect of corruption, of misrepresentation, of personal opportunities and aggrandizement above the people and laws of the Republic of Liberia. So here we are again. Right now, CPP is tarnished. CPP is a symbol of corruption, for which Liberian people are still fighting to rid themselves of. So yeah, it's the most popular senator and man in Liberia, reverting to the same old practices of the old system, because although he speaks well, he has no precedents to guide him, to lead him. And this way our society fails time and time again, because for 176 years, we have punished, or 73 or 76, the George, we are taking 73, 170 plus years. And for the past half of that century, of those centuries and a half, Liberian people have been led by rogues. We have been led by criminals who have used the laws and our cultural practices of tribalism and peace, which was the initial premise of Liberian people. The settlers coming back, and everybody want to fight the settler. So we did everything for peace sake, and that for peace sake has caused us not to punish our leaders, not to have them documented and set precedents for our people to follow, of criminality in our society, of punishing our leaders in our society, not the American society, that's not our society, in Liberian society. So when we begin to punish our leaders, because that's the foundation to setting precedents. That's the foundation for the Liberian democracy and rule of law to thrive and grow, when we can punish our leaders under our laws. But if everybody in Liberia is bored by petty change, is bored by cars and material things, what hope is there for democracy, law, and order in Liberian society? We don't have any. We don't have any. And who is to blame for all of this? Ellen Johnson-Sirleaf. She has taken Liberia to be her private interests. She has taken Liberia to be her private country. She has been taking Liberia to the point where she thinks she can control the Liberian society because the masses of Liberian leaders are ignorant. The masses of Liberian educated people in Liberia right now are blind. The masses of Liberian people around the world are blind, educated or not. When you continue to fight on tribal basis, when you continue to ignore the massive stealing and corruption and killings, look at George Weah, I'll get to his thing. Look at all these things that go on in your country. And you fail to see it. We are the problems. Our educated people are educated. They want to deal with social issues, but they're not wise. The ideal leadership is that of the Tottenham leadership. So every time they come home to, they say Liberian leadership, they revert to the same old practices of corruption and stealing and negativity. Why? Because it has been the practice in Liberia from time immemorial, and we have set no precedents of law, punishment, and cleansing of our society of corrupt, evil, and useless men and women. So here we are again. Here we are again. We are Ellen Johnson-Sirleaf's children. Because nobody in our society can stand Ellen Johnson-Sirleaf. All the things we are talking, you talk about what they call it, opulence, and did you say opulence when you did this? Was it this when you did that? Was it, repeating the same stupid thing as a dummy to Ellen Johnson-Sirleaf. And not having the ability to order this woman, to bring her to justice for her nepotism, for her massive stealing, and for her destruction of Liberian society by giving personally handpicking George Weah as our replacement to the world. So right there, she betrayed us. Now look at what Ellen Johnson-Sirleaf is doing again. This old crippled woman, decrepit, going all over the country again, trying to interject herself into Liberian politics to pick a leader of Liberia. You failed Liberia, Ellen Johnson-Sirleaf. You are a buffoon and a failure. So why would you want to come to find somebody now to resurrect what you did to our country, what you did to our people, and especially what you did to our women and children? You promoted the women of your settlement group, your family, few indigenous people who are assimilated under the Ellen Johnson family. You supported all of them and elevated them to the hierarchy of Liberia's leadership. Now all money got stolen. Billions we receive. Look at our country. And what hurts me more, there is no development that a leader can bring in Liberia if the road from Montserrat to Maryland is not paved. If the road from Montserrat to Maryland is not paved, to Grand Jida is not paved. Because how our president will be trying to develop this, to build that, and I will do this, and you still haven't made the move. You still haven't made it your objective, your primary objective too, besides education. Because we can't even get good education. How long will it take the people to go up country? When you have roads, you have access to communities, to neighborhoods, to your country. It's a good thing. It reduces germs. It reduces dust and nastiness. So all these things are necessary for our country. And it's fall on Ellen Johnson-Sirleaf. Because as a Harvard graduate from an elite institution of the greatest nation in the world, an institution that breeds American leaders of every sector, from every sector. Ellen Johnson went to that school. Why you think the World Bank elevated her and still has her as their agent? Because she graduated from an elite institution and she's supposed to know what to do. Did Ellen know what to do in Liberia? Not in my mind. She destroyed our country. the very fabric of our Christian society. She destroyed it. When for 12 years, she had the opportunity to resurrect pride and dignity and patriotism in our people and set standards for unification and integration through education. Education is a source of integration. It's a source of unification. Ignorance is not. When you are not educated, or you don't have the opportunity to produce things for your own life and perseverance and survival, and depend on people to do that for you, that could be no good leadership. Because even we have a good national economic school, now these schools, these people now steal our money and billing from the ideas of other people. I've been talking about school for women a long time. I've been talking about a home economics department, a school for our women, for all people of Liberia, not even our women, for all people. And what these people are doing now do not meet the demand of the Liberian people. They do not meet the land. Because if anything should be free for the Liberian people, it should be a home economic institution. Why? Because from that, our people learn hospitality, how to serve people, how to be professional in their actions toward people, how to bake, how to cook, how to clean, everything that is essential to Liberia's development. Why? Because charity begins at home. And if you're not strong enough to build your community to stand the test of time, you will fail time and time again. So for me, the greatest thing Ellen Johnson-Sirleaf had done for Liberia, besides paving the road, is to have a home economic institution. For many of our women who will never have the opportunity to go to formal school, for many of our women who have families already and need the opportunity to teach their children the essential things of life that they didn't have the opportunity to get. So a home economic institution for the Republic of Liberia is an asset to the Liberian people, as well as an educational tool for the Liberian society. Why? Because just as we build that institution and our people learn to cook and bake and sew and do everything that people in our society are supposed to know how to do if they want to learn and gain a better life. So although we need builders and all these things, but we also need to care for our indigenous women and children. Why? Because our Ellen Johnson-Sirleaf's objective. And she failed that. Instead of that, she built the Angie Brooks Center. Why the Angie Brooks Center couldn't be the administrative branch of the Home Economic School to administer it? Because when we have a Home Economic School, we got people to serve the government at every occasion. We got professional people to serve us, to cook for the guests. We ain't got to go to no white restaurant. We ain't got to pay for no chef. It will come straight from our School of Economic and Home Economics. That will be part of their obligation for free education, that they will serve the government for X number of years free of charge. So we'll always be sure to have professionals in our hospitality area. Hospitality is when guests from other countries come to your country, or when you build a resort where people can come. You hire people who know how to serve Europeans, Americans. They are trained in that area. Not only Liberia, they are trained in cleanliness. They are trained in everything that has to do with home economics and breeding a new breed of Liberian people. So that way Ellen Johnson failed us. Okay? I told you about Darius Dillon's staff who resigned because of Musa ability and how he controlling the Liberty Party, and also because of Darius Dillon, how he wants 3-4 position in Liberty Party. At the convention, he ran for 3-4 position. So there is a problem with our leadership, a serious problem. Okay? And this the boy who was Darius Dillon's staff. That boy should have the opportunity to excel in Liberty Party and in the country's leadership more than he's doing. They're supposed to support the young, intelligent children to work in our government, in high levels of the government, because they are competent. They appear to be honest and want to abide by laws, especially the young men who resigned from Darius Dillon and have had the fortitude, the forthrightness, the decency to come out and call a press conference to explain to the Liberian people why he's leaving and why the party, CPP, will cease to exist after April 2021. So what's happening in our country? Or April 2020? I don't know which April you're talking about, but let me see which April you're talking about. But I'm sure you're talking about April 21. I don't know if that or that April 23. So it's bordering those two things. So if it doesn't happen this April, you know it's happening in April 23. Because right now, all these parties have to confront each other for the leadership of CPP. Will that happen? Will that happen? We don't know. After Yomli Kanga's behavior, is she strong enough to be standard bearer? Or Darius Dillon with Musa ability as the chairman of the party? And all of us know that Musa ability is a criminal? We have a problem. Okay? So George Weah, now let me get into our president because everything I've spoken of on my list here so far. Is George Weah a failed Liberian leader? Is George Weah a killer? Is George Weah above the laws of Liberia? Can George Weah implicate himself in criminal actions and lie to the Liberian people about it? Like our auditors being killed? The 3 missing children? The 3 missing men, they're not children. And now, here we have Melvin Early, a man who allegedly shot himself in the head 3 times. That George Weah was the main man to tell our world that this was a fact. Because as Lofa Julius said in his podcast, he didn't say allege. He didn't say anything to convince the public that our leader is not involved in this thing. But when our leader come on and say a man shot himself in the head and it was a suicide, because once he said it was suicide, he may not have to say that it was 3 shots in the head. But you say the man death or suicide, and we know the man was shot 3 times. The news came out first that he was shot 3 times in the head. The whole public almost rejected it. All of us in the diaspora mostly objected it. Because we know you can't shoot yourself in the head 3 times. How you shoot yourself in the head 3 times? When you blow your head in the brain the first time, just the force from the gun will throw you out. Just the force from the gun. You are shooting a horrible weapon in your head. That's a bomb, a small bomb. So when a bomb busts in your head, it will throw you off. So how will you have the consciousness now to come back and pick up the gun and shoot yourself in the head 2 more times? So after we started debunking that lie, they had to come back with something else. They had to come back with something else. So we know now, because of the first announcement from the government that this man was shot 3 times in the head, and now they are trying to change, or they have changed their reports 2 or 3 times now. And the president is still going up there and saying this man, this was a suicide. This is a problem for our country. This is a problem for the Republic of Liberia. Our leaders are killers. Our leaders are liars. Our leaders are immoral. And there's evidence to prove it. Fair and show evidence to prove it, that our leaders are failures. So, because of all these kind of things of George Weah, because of the sheer stealing, corruption, rapes of our children and women and men, immoral practices, all of these things are carrying us back to the 1980s, to the 1990s, when people were getting ready for war. We're tired with the tribal nonsense, the tribal partiality, the tribal corruption, the tribal nepotism. And we still keep talking about for peace sake, for this sake and this sake, and keep calling on the same international community that supported George Weah all the time, despite Ellen Johnson's support. They should have known that this man had no knowledge. This man is a dummy. So our whole country is deceived. Our people deceived. And this is where we stand today. We are about to start another tribal war. We are about to begin another tribal war. Why? Because our people have regressed to the 1990s, to the 1980s. And if we don't check ourselves, we'll be on the path to wreck ourselves again. So, I listened to Galpohkpa too. He's back. The troublesome Galpohkpa is back. And he explained to us why he didn't run for deputy speaker. Because his party, Liberia Party, oh no, CPP, his party, CPP, decided that he was not going to be their representative. And he decided to follow the will of his party instead of going independent. He said, okay, you didn't choose me, I will sit down. That way he didn't run. But now the Speaker of the House is just as corrupt as George Weah, Prince Johnson, and all these criminals who have led our country for 12 years. Who have led our country for 12 years. George Weah hand was in Ellen's pocket all the time. And to scare her even more, he was attacking her politically, attacking her position, attacking her personally. Now here he is, the defender of the very same Ellen Johnson-Sirleaf. My young children, it's hard for me to imagine a good future for us when there's so much stealing, killing, raping, lying, betraying of our people. And this has gone on for too long now. We got to cease the violence. We got to cease living in a society with a law and justice and equality and freedom for people, where people parties are enemies of each other. They want to kill each other. Why? You got to kill your enemies? They're not even your enemies. They're just your competition. You can't stand competition to the extent that you got to go kill your own people. So how will we compete in a world as real men and women with sense and logic to reason? So when you go in a world, anybody do something to you or say something against you, you will kill them too. Because this is where our society has become. That nobody can say nothing. It's hate, it's war, and we have regressed. We have regressed from a civilized society to some unknown thing that doesn't exist in reality. A whole country following one man, the legislature, the judiciary, the executive. This is a problem. And within their own opposition parties, there are corrupt leaders. There are leaders who have no dignity for the rule of law. They talk big and their actions show otherwise, like Darius Dillon. So this is what we stand. And we got to reel Darius Dillon back in. You know, he feels that he's a voice, he's a legal mind, he's everything, and he's not. And it's time for us to reel Darius Dillon back in. Let him know that we elected him for a purpose. We supported him for a purpose. We raised money for him for a purpose. Because we repose our trust and confidence in his wise leadership, as young as he is. But now, it is evident that Darius Dillon is too young and immature to lead our nation. He still needs to learn. He still needs to understand the differentiation between our old society and our new society, our old republic and our new republic, and what are our desires to see our new republic grow, excel, and be the representative of a wholesome, functioning Liberian society under the rule of law. So, my children, we still have a lot of work to do. Why you think I wake up to do my show every morning? Me, I don't care about people viewing my show. I am the light. And if you want to see the light, you got to be brave enough to watch me. You got to not be jealous. You got to not be tribal. You got to not be nepotistic. And above all, you better not be dysfunctional. Because my lesson is to bring consciousness to our people. I don't go on people's shows. No. Too many immature people. Too many. And Facebook is like a little site for dummies. Everybody, Dick and Harry coming up there, one give opinion and insult people and do other kind of things for our society that is so down and out. The social media of Liberians as people is being used by dummies. And instead of our Liberian leaders, our Liberian educators use social media just as our idiots are using it to educate our people. We got Eric, Tom, Dick, and Harry coming up talking about love, relationship, talking about social behavior, interactions, and all these kind of things. Although some of them may be right, but many of them cross the legal threshold, and they have to be reeled in. because Liberia got laws that everybody can understand, everybody can interpret. If everybody could interpret the Constitution and law, there would be no damn need for me to go to law school, to get a law degree, to strive to be a leader of my country. I didn't want to be a lawyer because of my father. No. I've always been a security person. Ask anybody who know me in Liberia. I only knew I had the ability to be a lawyer because it was inherent in me from my father and from my mother people, from Thomas Jefferson. My great-great-great-great-grand cousin or something like that. He founded America. So I'm his offspring. If American people believe that they are so smart and the genes flow from knowledge, why can't I be the light of my country? I got white in me. I got black in me. I'm not denying both. I accept them both. So why can't I be the light and leader of my people, if not Africa? Thomas Jefferson alone set the foundation for America. Rule of law. And I'm his offspring, his cousin, his relative. From way back then, when they used to hide me and say I'm not relative of Thomas Jefferson, when he used to sleep with my aunt, Sally Hemings, who bore 6 children for him, and they lied all through the centuries that she was not the paramour. That means girlfriend, lover of Thomas Jefferson, and bore 6 children for him. So you see, our societies have lied to us from time immemorial, from beginning of our culture. They have lied to us. They have deceived us with racism, race superiority, and all these useless thinking, axioms, ideals, principles. That don't mean shit to sound common thinking human beings. You see, I'm just tired with the lies. I see it every day. I saw it for 4 years under Donald Trump. We got to be tired, man. If we're not tired of the lies, then something's wrong with us. What's wrong with us? Only the shadow knows. So let me end here on this topic. Let me start my last topic after 1 hour. I don't want to be here longer. Back to Liberia movement. We got to start planning to go home. Our country is too broken down. As we see, the people who we look up to for leadership are liars and commit unconstitutional behaviors from the founding of the nation of America by enslaving us, by trying to make us slaves forever and deny us education, life, liberty, and the pursuits of happiness. We have done this for 400 years, even to this day. Look at what's going on in our country. People trying to murder the leaders of our country because Joe Biden selected a black woman or Indian woman, an American woman as his vice president. In the underbelly of Liberian American society that dwells in lies, that dwells in treachery, that dwells in unpatriotic behavior and selfishness and evil, at the very underbelly that attacked the Capitol building on January 6, 2020, at the behest of a mentally insane president, Donald Trump. And now he's running again. But my people, we got to take our country now. We're seeing that the people who we look up to, the people who honor and love and pride, are liars, are deceitful people, and behave just as criminal as our Liberian leaders. So I am proposing the Back to Liberia movement. There will be no discussion. There will be no interaction. Everybody who believes in my leadership and repose their trust and confidence in my concept of governance must pay attention to me. Because the day I'm ready to go, I will give you 1 month notice. That is time for us to set the stages for returning our country, our people, and our governments into self-respecting, lawful, and civil governance. For 50 years now, almost half a century, our country has been the underbelly of the world. And we still are. Because many of our people have no concept of unification and integration. Because unification and integration rests on the laws. You can't come and say, oh, we'll unite and do that if you don't know the laws. Why? Because the laws are the fundamental doctrines, principles, understanding of unification and integration. Because the same reason we've been divided is because a few people have benefited over the many. And the same reason we are suffering is because that group will replace with another group that behaves the same way or worse, far worse. So what hopes do we have for the future of Liberia when our society is still blind, is still left to fend for themselves, have no security? The president telling the poor people of our country that he hasn't paid for months, that they got to go and buy CCTV to put on their zinc houses. That's why I guess that's true. So zinc houses in Liberia. How the poor people will go put CCTV in the zinc houses when the roads are lit more than the houses. Now we got street lights. You see the useless criminal thing of these people. We grab a street light, they get a street light now, they cut all the lights off in the houses to regulate the street light because they're too dumb and corrupt to separate the two. So we are dealing with a nation of dummies because there is no money to do the two, because they are stolen all the money. They have enough to build 20, 40 street lights in Liberia, or just a few, and calling it victorious. Now the children in their homes who are going to school got to leave their houses and come and sit on the street under the street lights to study, to do their homework, to prepare themselves for the future. This is Liberia we're living in. A nasty, funky, disease-infested country of dummies. This is no insult. This is no hate speech. This is a message to my people that enough is enough. And we must rise from the ashes from which we are, from the slums from which we live, from the ghettos that have existed in our country for so long and are worse than ever before. Why? Because our government is supporting drug dealers with money instead of providing them medical help, psychiatric help, to restore their sanity and their human consciousness back to a civilized reality. So you pay attention. The Back to Africa movement, Liberia, not Africa. I ain't going back to Africa, I'm going back to Liberia. Until Africa itself grow real leaders of consciousness, democratic consciousness. I ain't want to deal with the country. We'll deal with them. My economic people will deal with them. But I personally will have no interaction with them. Because our leaders are the problems of our countries. The corrupt behaviors and stealing our leaders are still Africa's worst problems. At that point, I end my lesson. My young children, the time of the Liberian people is now. Our global community has a duty and responsibility to seek to uplift our society based on principle of law, based on principle of decency, based on principles of public policy, Liberian public policy that guarantees us to our sentiments and Christian principles a moral society for all of us. Aluta! Continue. Have a good day.
That's right.